Hello there YouTube! In this video I'm gonna show you how I made my song Naked in the Forest. So yeah, let's start with the drums and the bass. So yeah, first off it's a kick, which is a usual kick sample I just liked, and I thought it needed a bit more high end, so this is a trick I use a lot. I take a kick I like, which has nice brightness, and I just cut out everything besides the top end, and I layer it on top of the original kick. So alone it sounds like this. But yeah, it adds a bit more punch. Same with the snare, like alone it sounds like this. But I added a clap on top, so it has a bit more nice texture. And yeah, sometimes in the snare pattern there's this sound that leads up to the snare, which I really think is cool. So yeah, it's just a reversed sample that comes before the snare. And yeah, it adds a lot of motion and dynamics to the snare pattern. So yeah, you can use pretty much any sample. If it matches the snare sound and sounds cool together, you're good to go. So yeah, for the cymbals, it's like 3 different patterns on top of each other. So for the ride, it sounds like this. And the hi-hat is playing the exact same pattern pretty much. Bit variations, and for both I use Easy Drummer, which is a realistic drum plugin. So yeah, and we have another hi-hat, which is sort of a trap hi-hat. So this is another pattern. Pattern number 3 is another hi-hat number 3. So yeah, I love this sample and I use it in pretty much all my songs, or maybe like half of my songs. It's a hi-hat sound with a woman saying hi on top, so I pitch it to fit the key of the song, and I really like the sound of it. So yeah. On top of this, in the chorus you have a clapping sound. As you can see, it's 3 different samples I made a pattern out of. So together everything sounds like this. Yeah. And for the bass, it's pretty simple. It's just an 808 sample in the Ableton sampler. And yeah, I have a lot of cool sliding, like the notes slide into each other. I really like this. Yeah, adds a lot of motion to the bass. So yeah, that's it for the bass and the drums. Next up is the chords and the melody. So the main chords is based around a sample. So yeah, it's a sample I found in a sample pack, and what I do is just it starts with this major chord, and I just pitch it down 5 semitones to make the second chord. Some cool variations with some glitching. And yeah, as you also can see, I like it starts with this chord, and the next one is sounds bit different, and because I use a different warp mode. Like here I use texture, and here I use complex, but you cannot really hear it in those chords that well. But for example, in these chords, this one and this one, you can see this sounds much more nasal, and on both I use the Pro, Complex Pro warp mode, but here I put the envelope to 184, and here I put it to 8, so it's it's a different kind of overtones, but it's the same chords. So this is a way to make variation. So yeah, the next thing is the bridge, which is the same chords, or is one chord, but I use a resonator effect that turns on here. Here's the chain for the chords, by the way. So I have some autopan, another autopan here to make it a bit more stereo, since the sample was a mono sample. So I really like this resonator effect. You can choose what kind of overtone you want. So starts completely dry and then becomes more and more wet. So yeah, almost sounds like a violin or something. This is a really cool way to take one sound and make it sound completely different. So yeah, and you can make a lot of cool textures with this. So next up is the piano, which sounds like this. I've frozen it to audio, but the original MIDI track is here. And what I used for the piano is this Emetron Pro plugin. This is a really nice Mellotron plugin, and it has a lot of nice sounds, and I use this a lot. So I really recommend this plugin to get those like 60s, 70s vintage keyboard sounds. It's a really nice plugin. So the reason I made it into audio is then I can fool around with it a bit more, you know. It starts there, starts in this octave, but as you see, like here I pitched it down an octave. It gives a different sound if you pitch down the audio instead of just writing the MIDI octave down. So yeah, it creates different textures. You can chop up the audio like that. So yeah, that's it for the piano. There is a swelling sound in the intro that sounds like this. And how I made this is using a freeze function on the reverb. So if we take the chords in the bridge, here is the reverb for the chords, and you click this button. And you actually record a fragment of the reverb. And then if you solo this reverb, I can take a new audio track, and I can choose the input as resampling, and then I can record this into audio file. And yeah, then you can put it. And that was what I did here. It's not exactly the same part of the sample, but yeah, it's the same approach pretty much. So yeah, the next thing is on the drop. There's this this sort of vocal chops. This is actually super easy because I just got it from a sample pack. I can show the original sample. So it's pretty much like half the tempo. I just sped it up. And there's this layer. I used another vocal sample. It's the same melody on top. Together it sounds like this. Next up is the vocals and the sound effects. So the vocals sounds like this.
Blazing through my cheeks, a fussy breeze in a summer night. Kept burning way down.
Yeah, it's a pretty simple chain, just EQ and compression. And I have delay, it's a stereo delay, so I use like 100 milliseconds in one ear and 150 in the other ear, and this creates a nice slapback effect. And I side chain this to the dry vocal, so it would sound a lot clearer. Yeah.
Blazing through my cheeks, a fussy breeze. Summer nights kept burning way down here.
Yeah, and for the reverb, it's the same technique. As you can see, it's
It's kept burning way down hills, going to your house.
so when the dry vocal hits, it turns the reverb down in volume. So there's layers here in falsetto, so like one octave up.
Blazing through my cheeks, a fussy breeze.
This is pretty much all the way in the chorus.
Don't know where my heart is.
And also I have recorded the falsetto in the sides, but some of the notes are different. If you can hear. So there's some harmonies. There's left and right, just different takes, and some of the notes are sometimes different when I sing. I usually do the singing very like spontaneously, so it creates some nice harmonies. Together it sounds like this.
I should be naked in the forest, smelling all the flowers. I should be naked in the forest.
So yeah, that's how I usually create harmonies, just like fool around, improvise different melodies. There's also this transition effects, like.
Don't know where my heart is. I've been living in the dark now.
So yeah, I take a part of the vocal and put it in a sampler and make a loop. And I automate the length of the loop to go shorter and shorter. And so yeah, this is cool transition effect. I have another one right here with another word. So forest.
Smelling all the flowers.
Yeah, so it's a riser effect you make out of your own voice, which is really cool because it blends so nicely with the vocals. And for the sound effects, it's this rain sample, which I found from YouTube or somewhere else. Just yeah, really nicely in the background through the whole song. There's some risers here, which is just white noise that's automated with the filter. Yeah. There's a lot of like small like psytrance samples which I downloaded from Splice. Just cool sound effects to make your song a little bit more spicy, you know. And there's some human voices that are put in there, like there's like screaming and different kind of weird noises. You can hear. So yeah, you heard like this is like right here. This it's different noises from the human voice. I usually sample this from different YouTube videos or ASMR videos if I find something I really like. So yeah, it's a cool way to add some ear candy to a track. Last but not least, I have the whole instrumental in this bus, and the vocals are not included. So what I do sometimes is I mute the whole instrumental like real quickly. You can see here the automation, like it's here. You can almost not hear it, but it's just a split second which the whole instrumental just get muted. Let's see if you can hear it. It's not that easy to hear. Maybe you can hear it here. Yeah, that's pretty easy to hear. There, I think you noticed that one. So, yeah. So that's pretty much it. So yeah, that was it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you want private lessons with me, just write me a DM. I can do it online or in person. And if you have any other video requests, just leave it down in the comments below. So yeah, remember to subscribe to my channel, and see you next time.